So wanted to share some great news to end last week. After 30 days of being laid off, I luckily managed to land a new job. I'll be starting in a few weeks in April, so I'll get a couple of weeks to properly relax after a stressful last month between the layoff and dealing with the unemployment shenanigans I've been sharing. So yeah, I'm all signed and ready to go for next month, which is such a relief, honestly. I'm very, very thankful for the people that helped me. In today's video, I'll break down my full offer, talk a bit about how I did it, and more importantly, I'm going to talk about how I'm thinking of radically changing how I'm investing my full paycheck going forward. After having gone through this layoff experience, I feel like that's kind of changed stuff a lot for me, priorities-wise. So we'll go over all that. And as usual, you're getting radical transparency on my channel. I'm sharing my full numbers, unfiltered. And yeah, if you want to follow along on my portfolio, you can check the links in the description below. Like my Snowball portfolio is free to follow. You can poke around with the numbers yourself. If you appreciate that transparency, give a like and subscribe. As usual, disclaimer, this video is for entertainment and education purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor and nothing here should be taken as financial, investment, or tax advice. I'm simply sharing my personal investing journey and documenting my own results. Investing always carries risk, especially when using margin, and you can potentially lose money. Don't copy what I'm investing in blindly without understanding the risks and doing your own due diligence. No returns are guaranteed. So before we properly get started, as usual, we'll kind of just go over the little flowchart here. This is the layoff edition of how I live out of my Robinhood brokerage account and invest 100% of my unemployment paycheck. So yeah, in this channel, I invest 100% of my income. Previously, I'd invest at least 10.8K every month, but now it'll be $1,152 for the next couple of weeks before I start my job. And I invest that normally into growth and high yield ETFs, but with the layoff, I'll be focusing on safer high yield ETFs for now to keep my monthly cash flow going. I've stopped using a traditional bank account and live entirely out of my Robinhood brokerage account. I use cheap margin of 4.5% to pay all my bills and bridge the gap between my monthly dividends and my monthly bills. The goal is to ideally never sell a share to take money out of the account, apart from when I'm rebalancing between funds. And I want to forever compound both my growth and high yield assets and eventually have my monthly dividends exceed my monthly expenses. If you want an in-depth breakdown video of the old chart that I'll eventually get back to once I have a job again, check out the link at the top right. So yeah, let's just get started. Real quick, we'll just kind of show that, yeah, this is a real live portfolio. You can kind of see all my positions here. This is what it's looking like as of Friday and kind of like the overnight numbers coming for since then. But yeah, we'll break this down more in the next video. This video is less about that. And yeah, so if we pop back to Miro, let's just break down the offer that I got. So first things first, let's just pop over here. So this was my old job, right? So my base salary was 179K. I had like a yearly performance bonus of 15% of my salary. So that was roughly 26.85K gross. And so which had a total comp gross of 205.85K. So roughly, as you kind of saw over the last few months, that would roughly net out to 10.8K every month that I was investing from my job, right? So if we pop over down here to my new job, I'm pretty happy, honestly, with what I was able to negotiate. So I ended up taking a little bit of a base salary cut, so from 179 to 175K. But this is actually what I started with at that old job before I got a merit increase. I managed to negotiate a 15K signing bonus, which will be paid in my first paycheck. I have a target annual bonus of 7%, so I could make up to 12.25K every year. The company also contributes to an extra retirement account, which is nice. So that's 5.25K that gets contributed to that. That's just all company money, nothing that I have to put in there. That's just like an extra perk. And then there's also a 401k match, which honestly I've missed because my last company, I didn't have any of that. So it's a 50% match on 4% of your salary that you contribute. So I'll be probably doing the 4% just to contribute the minimum to kind of get my 401k match from the company. So that's 3.5K. I'm kind of leaning towards probably doing the high deductible plan and doing the HSA to kind of get the company contribution from that. And that will get up to $800. So all said and done, my total comp there, if you just factor in the salary, bonus, and signing, is 202.25K, which is honestly a little bit lower than the total comp from before. But if you factor in all the extra retirement perks, which my old job didn't have, that actually pushes me up to 211.8K. So all in all, like I'm coming out a little bit ahead, which is great. And then also as a bonus, this job actually pays weekly. So as you can imagine, that'll be great content for the channel too. Well, I'll be able to do the full paycheck investing every week instead of twice a month. So that's looking like 2.47K per week, roughly. This doesn't factor in all the kind of deductions for 401k and all that, but like this is what it is pre-deduction. So that if I netted that out to monthly, that's roughly 10.7K per month. So yeah, I like using Paycheck City. I don't know if anyone's ever used this for their salary calculator. That's how I kind of check that stuff when I'm kind of negotiating my salary, which is nice. So you can kind of like put your state, put like how much you're putting, how much you're getting paid annually, for example. So if I put weekly, right, or if I put semi-monthly, just to kind of compare what I was doing before, right? So that would be 5.35K semi-monthly. So before I was getting like 5.4 something, right? But if we go back and switch that back to weekly and calculate, you can also add all your deduction stuff. I haven't done it here, but it's a great way to kind of just estimate your paycheck to know what you're getting into when you're negotiating. So I love using that. So yeah, that's roughly 2.7K or 2.47K after all the deductions and stuff. There's no state income tax in Washington, which is great. So love that. Only federal, and then Social Security and all that good stuff. So that's the new offer. Honestly, really excited about it. I was honestly preparing myself for a pretty significant pay cut in this kind of latest job search, but this one job kind of came across my lap and got really lucky with it and was able to kind of negotiate pretty well from their initial offer, which was nice. So yeah, that's the new job. And yeah, how I ended up, just as a quick note of like how I managed to land that job, I made this little Sankey chart here that we can check out. So over the last month, I haven't gone too crazy, honestly, because originally, like I mentioned in one of my earlier videos during the layoff, like my plan was to kind of take it easy for the next couple months before kind of heavily applying. But where that shifted was when I ran into those issues with the unemployment, right? That kind of put a bit more financial pressure on me. And then I was like, okay, I need to kind of push this a little harder. So I still didn't go too crazy. I didn't put out like hundreds of applications, like literally 9 applications is like a strong word. Cause like some of these, for example, like these are like 2 people that I reached out to that there wasn't necessarily a job posted and just trying to seeing if there's anything available and if they could keep me in mind. So there was like 2 of that. One where I had no answer. This was like the very first one I applied to. So never heard back. One that I hit up, but they weren't doing remote for now. So they were just on-site and hybrid, unfortunately. And then there's many screen calls, 3 of them that I had that I had a call with them and decided not to kind of keep going forward for various reasons. One of them, the salary wasn't high enough. One of them was like, yeah, just like a really early startup that couldn't pay too much. And one that there was no flexibility as far as the seniority of the role. So in the end, I really only went through 2 big panel interviews. And in the end, so the final interviews for those were basically this week, and one that I pretty much declined, and then one that I accepted, which was the job that we saw there, right? So really, like how I ended up doing that, honestly, I didn't do any cold applications. I really just leaned on my network of friends and network of people that I've built up over my 17 years in the industry. So know quite a few people. And yeah, this one was, just a friend that works at that company right now. And he referred me. So that was great. And yeah, honestly, I think that was always the way I've applied to jobs in the past. So I'm glad to see it's still kind of alive and well, despite all the craziness with the layoffs right now. So very thankful for my network, very thankful for my friends that I was able to lean on. So can't thank them enough for that, honestly. But yeah, more importantly, the big thing I want to talk about is how all this is kind of changing for my full paycheck investing, right? So we'll kind of really break it down here. So yeah, and also I'm happy to hear thoughts on this because I'm still kind of mulling this over the next couple of weeks before I start my job proper. So I'll probably have to kind of run some projections and probably share that with y'all as well, like normal. But my thinking is that going through this layoff experience has just made me want to hit my full paycheck replacement even faster and more aggressively. And really, like the next time I experience a layoff, like I'm hoping, knock on wood, that I have at least a couple of years in this job before that happens. I want to not have to worry about getting unemployment income like I did this time around. So like at this point, I had a little less than half of my income replaced, right? So I still had to lean on the unemployment income, and that's where the stress came from the unemployment income having issues and not being paid. Right now, I'm still waiting, right? So I want the unemployment income to be bonus money, ideally, if the next time I hit a layoff. So this is how I'll be switching things up to be a little bit more aggressive to kind of really just focus on the income, right? So yeah, so my thinking is that I'm not going to invest in growth anymore for now. So I have roughly like 170K right now in growth. I have like, a little less, 164.2K in growth, right? So I'm just going to let that sit and kind of grow and compound on its own. Except for its dividends. Any dividends from like SCHD, like VU, QQQ, they all have like little dividends. I think I'll probably reinvest that into whatever's low that particular month. And then also, I'm thinking like the monthly rent that I typically do to put into VU, I'll keep doing. So that's just like $500 a month, not too crazy. So yeah, no more growth generally. For the most part, I'm just going to focus on safer high yield ETFs. So think T-SPY, TDAC, QQQI, SPY-I, XPay. So anything that's just indexed to like the S&P and the NASDAQ. And maybe I'll occasionally put in something like Chippy, which is a little bit better as far as like the higher yielders compared to like Ulti or YMAX. But I'll be mostly focusing on these and really building up those anchors, right? And then the big change too, potentially, that I'm thinking is I will now reinvest all my high yield ETF dividends back into themselves. So I won't necessarily kind of like drip, but like I'll take the dividend and invest it in whatever might be low, for example, that week or that month or whatnot. So really, I'm just going to keep that dividend wheel kind of spinning and just try to kind of like turbocharge it essentially. So normally I would be like letting these dividends deposit to margin and cash and kind of keep the margin balance under control. So yeah, honestly, this one is a bigger one. I'm going to have to like just run some projections on this. So this is like early thoughts of what I'll be doing. So I'm going to run some scenarios on this, of course, as per usual. So probably in the next couple of weeks, I'll kind of project these up in my charts, and we'll definitely share that just to kind of see where I'm going and have a rough idea, right? So yeah, that's my thinking, because yeah, honestly, this layoff has kind of really changed my perspective and priorities, right? I just want to replace my income as fast as I can at this point. 40 is still the goal, but yeah, I want to see if I can kind of get my income replaced first, and then kind of go past that and kind of create even more buffer, right? Like still aiming for that 2x income replacement to kind of weather any variance in income. So yeah, because like speaking very honestly, like the games industry is in a rough spot from the last year since the COVID boom, right? So from AAA to AA to indie, honestly, nowhere really feels safe anymore. It used to be that like larger companies typically felt safer, and I've worked for some before, right? But that just really isn't the case anymore since the COVID gaming boom and the subsequent boom and then kind of like crash that we've been having over the last few years, right? Really, no one has been kind of spared from layoffs, and they're still just continuing to happen week after week. We're kind of seeing it since the beginning of the year, right? And I've been affected by that too as well. So yeah, for me, like seeing all these layoffs and just the state of the industry kind of has me still on edge, right? It's a big reason I did start this whole strategy a couple of years ago. So I'm glad that I did. And I'm kind of like halfway there to replace my income. So really for me, it just really drives the point home that I need to hit early retirement ASAP, replace my full income as fast as I can, and then just create that buffer on top of it. So I think by doing these things, that will kind of help me get there even faster. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'll project all these out, and then I'll share the thinking and results of that and see how we go. So I have like the next 3 weeks essentially to kind of think through all of this. But yeah, definitely curious to hear people's thoughts. If you think it's too aggressive, maybe do I pull back on like reinvesting on the dividends and still kind of controlling the margin balance? So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But yeah. And with that, given that I've been through like a bunch of rebalances too, I did all these rebalances, right? Like if I have any regrets, rebalance my portfolio after how fast I found a job. And really, I mean, like when I rebalanced, the goal was really to like prepare myself for potentially a long haul layoff, right? Like anywhere from like 6 months to a year. Like I know people that have been looking for 2 years and still have nothing, right? So I consider myself really lucky I was able to land something in a month like I did, but like no regrets, honestly. I think I've set myself up better for the long term, just kind of refocusing on ETFs and reducing my volatility. I think that's just going to pay dividends, no pun intended, in the long run. So I'm very happy with that. Like I think for now, actually, I won't do any single stocks. I think I might just stick to ETFs and mostly indexes right now, given how heavy I am in margin and just to reduce the volatility overall. So yeah, if that ever changes, you'll of course see it, given how much I update you on the portfolio. But yeah, that's where I'm at. But yeah, that's the video. Hope you appreciate all the transparency and kind of seeing exact offers and how stuff has evolved and a little bit on how I did it. But yeah, that's the video. As usual, if you want to follow me off YouTube, there's a bunch of different ways of doing it. I'm on Blossom Social. You can kind of follow all my trades there, all my posts. You'll see all my latest stuff. I'd like my little spy eye buy this week from my YouTube earnings, right? You can see my stuff on Snowball as well. All my numbers, nothing's hidden. You can see what's in the green, what's in the red. All the same stuff that I share weekly. You can kind of poke at that yourself. And these links are all below in the description below for free. There's the Patreon as well. I'm a little bit behind on uploading. I need to catch up on this weekend. But yeah, this is just in case there's anything that happens on YouTube again. I have this backup with all my videos. And then, of course, the Discord, right? A lot of great conversation here in between videos. Love talking to people here. Post like some detailed trade alerts. Here's that SPY eye thing with my Gumroad earnings that I mentioned, right? Little chippy orders this week from like my gold card, my YouTube earnings here. So yeah, I post all that. Post some early thoughts on stuff. People got a heads up on my offer here too a couple days ago, and yeah, the great little community that we're building here. We're over 325 members, so consider joining. We have like tons of other YouTubers posting their stuff too. I'm very open to other YouTubers, other ways of doing things. Everyone's welcome to post and share how they do stuff, because I feel like when people are exposed to different ways and different ways of doing things, they can really take bits and pieces that works for them. There's no one end all be all way of doing stuff. So I highly encourage that. And yeah, and that's the video. If you appreciate the transparency and want to keep supporting the channel and seeing my full paycheck investing videos, how I'm navigating the rest of this layoff the next couple of weeks, give a like and subscribe, hit the bell notification to be notified about future videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Next one will probably be just my weekly update. So I'll probably try to post that tomorrow. And yeah, just talk about last week's performance, because it was another crazy back and forth roller coaster week. So yeah, we'll break into all the numbers there. And also, yeah, my taxes ended up being finished, and I'll dive into that in a separate video as well too. So yeah, lots of content in the next couple of days. Look out for that.